This lecture is over modifiers. So in your step-by-step medical coding book, your textbook for class, I am on page 254. And turn in your CPT code book, that's the picture you see on the screen there, to page 727 for 2017, or Appendix A, which is the modifiers appendix. So the appropriate chapter in your textbook, we're going to look at a couple of things in the textbook and then go through the modifiers right in the code book. Looking at your chapter, the textbook says modifiers inform third-party payers of circumstances that may affect the way payment is made. Remember, your third-party payer is your reimbursement, your insurance company. Appendix A in your CPT manual lists the full description for all modifiers and the circumstances for their use. On page 255 in the textbook, there's a coding shot. You can see the little syringe there, and it says, for the purposes of this text, when there are multiple CPT modifiers assigned to one code, list the modifiers from highest to lowest. So they put modifier 78, and then modifier 50, and then if we needed a modifier 25, we would put that next. So highest to lowest if you're using more than one. Looking straight in your CPT book, the blue line there on the right side of the page, your Appendix A, modifier 22 is the first one that we go through. And you can read through this yourself, but the note that I want you to put on this is I have no E&M, so we do not use modifier 22 with an E&M code. Okay, so no E&M. And then also I have written with surgery codes. Okay, so modifier 22 does not go on E&M codes. It goes on surgery codes. You use it with surgery codes. And those are the two notes that I have here underneath my modifier 22 in my code book. Modifier 23, unusual anesthesia. Underneath there, I have only with anesthesia codes written in. So modifier 23, only with anesthesia codes. Modifier 24, unrelated evaluation and management service by the same physician or other qualified healthcare professional during a post-op period. So we have a visit about something unrelated during a post-op period. It says the physician or other qualified healthcare professional may need to indicate that an E&M service was performed during a post-op period for a reason or reasons unrelated to the original procedure. Underneath this, I have written only with E&Ms. I want you to write that in. Only with E&Ms. This goes on an E&M code. And I would give you the example of when to use this is if I just had surgery on my foot and I had a post-op period of 10 days. And on the 5th day after surgery, I feel like I have a sinus infection. I need to go to the doctor and I need to get medicine for a sinus infection. I would put a modifier 24 on the E&M visit saying this was for a different reason, had nothing to do with her foot surgery that just happened 5 days ago. Okay? Does that make sense? Modifier 25 says significant, separately identifiable E&M visit by the same physician or other qualified healthcare professional on the same day of another procedure or service. Now underline same day there. And at the bottom, you could either do the bottom of that column or actually the definition goes up onto the next column. E&M only. Use this with E&M codes only. Modifier 25. Now the difference between this, so 24 was an unrelated visit when you're in a post-op period, so you've had an operation for something. Modifier 25 says I can do a visit today for the doctor, but then on the same day while I'm there, I also have some kind of procedure done. Like I went to the doctor today for visit for my high cholesterol because I need new medicine, and I also had a mole removed. That's two different procedure or service codes, right? I have a doctor visit and I have a mole removal. Okay? I would use a modifier 25 on that E&M visit to say, oh, and we did some other stuff the same day. Okay? Modifier 26, I wrote in underneath this, radiology only. We will only use modifier 26 in the radiology section with radiology codes. Modifier 32 is mandated services. The deal with mandated services is, your insurance company needed you to use it. You don't use it very often, okay? But you have to do it to get your life insurance. You have to have blood tests or some kind of service done to make sure that you're healthy before you can, take out your life insurance policy. That's mandated by your insurance company. You would put a modifier 32 on there. Preventative services is modifier 33. Modifier 47 says anesthesia by surgeon. Modifier 50 says it's a bilateral procedure. We use modifier 50 a lot. So it says unless otherwise identified in the actual code description or the listings, bilateral procedures that are performed at the same session should be identified by adding modifier 50 to your appropriate 5-digit CPT code. Okay, so if I did something on the right and the left big toe, okay, you could use modifier 50 when you put that procedure up there. Modifier 51 is another one that we use a lot, and it just says multiple procedures. Underneath this, at the very bottom of that column on page 727 here, I want you to write no E&M codes. You do not put modifier 51 on an E&M code. Okay, so it'd be a surgical section code only. Modifier 52 says reduced services. Under certain circumstances, a service or procedure is partially reduced or eliminated at the discretion of the physician or other qualified healthcare professional. Under these circumstances, the service provided can be identified by its usual code and the addition of modifier 52, signifying that the service is reduced. So this will lower the price, okay, or the amount that you get paid because you didn't do all of it. Modifier 53 says discontinued procedure. What I want you to write next to this one or underneath this one is you discontinue it because of the patient status. I have written in patient status next to 53. Under certain circumstances, the physician or other qualified healthcare professional may elect to terminate a procedure due to extenuating circumstances or those that threaten the well-being of the patient. Often it's the patient status that is the reason why you discontinue the procedure, so we put a modifier on that. Again, that usually decreases the amount that we get paid. The next one I have notes is modifier 58. I underlined that first word, staged. It says staged or related procedure or service by your same doctor during the post-op period. Underneath there, I want you to write scheduled or planned. Scheduled or planned is another, our other synonyms for staged, okay? It's a planned service or a related procedure that's done. Modifier 59 is a distinct procedural service. I want you to write last resort next to this one. Okay. Modifier 59 is very often misused. There's a lot of abuse that goes along with modifier 59 right now. And it's just, a highly abused one, so you have to be really careful when you use this. It's high misuse. It's a big audit trigger to use modifier 59. So write last resort on that one. Modifier 62 says to surgeons. Okay, that's good. Modifier 63, I have a note. It says performed on infants less than 4 kilograms. I have that as 8.8 pounds. I wrote that in. 8.8 pounds. Okay. Otherwise, I don't have any other notes in my modifier appendix. You can read through each one of these modifiers separately on your own. Okay, and make any notes on top of that if you feel that you need to. Definitely go through the chapter. I'm not going to go through everything. Again, I want you to make sure you have these notes. What modifiers do basically is tell more of the story. Okay? Yes, you did this procedure, and yes, the definition is here, and the description in the CPT manual, but if there's more to that, oftentimes we can find a modifier. Okay? Yes, we did the procedure, but we had to stop halfway through because the patient's blood pressure dropped and we were losing them. Okay? Well, open heart surgery or CABG or stent placement isn't the same because we didn't do the whole thing. We have to put a modifier on there to say, oh, we had to stop. Okay? We had to discontinue the procedure or something like that. Modifiers tell more of the story. Okay? To that insurance company so that they will pay. That's the bottom line. We need to accurately code so they can accurately pay. Okay, and then everybody's kosher. So modifiers tell more of the story. You can go through the chapter in your textbook. It's not a big chapter. They go through and describe in more detail each one of the modifiers. Maybe they give an example here or there that might help you. So it is good that you read through that as well. Okay?